All right, folks, here are the results of the belief quiz that I gave y'all right before the midterm exam. And I wanted to go ahead and go over the ground rules with y'all just a second. This is basically just a regular mathematical plane. And you'll notice up there the vertical line is actually the bedroom line. We ask questions about bedroom issues, moral issues. And then the horizontal line is going to be the wallet line. And that's the one that's actually dealing with economic issues. And the trick on this is that, if you score to the right regarding wallet issues, the right of that vertical line, then that means that you're going to believe that government should regulate economic issues. If you score more to the left on that wallet line, to the left of the vertical line in the center, then that means that you're going to believe that government should stay out of people's wallets maybe a little bit more. If you scored above the horizontal line, you believe that government should regulate more in terms of moral issues. And if you scored below that horizontal line, then in fact you're going to believe that government should not regulate moral issues, or at least should regulate them less. Now, my contention in giving you this quiz is basically if you understand the relationship between government regulation or not regulating in terms of wallet and bedroom issues, bedroom again being moral or wallet being economic, then you can, with a reasonable amount of certainty, predict what a person's political beliefs are going to be. Now, let me give you something else on this. The closer that you are to the center, the more moderate your views are. However, the further you get away from the center, then in fact, the more extreme your views are. And maybe there will be some surprises as we look at this. But let me go ahead and break this down into the four quadrants. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit closer here for our first quadrant, which is actually going to be the libertarians. If you scored in the bottom left-hand corner, in other words, if you believe that government should stay out of regulating economic issues, and if you believe that government should stay out in terms of regulating moral issues, then you are what is known as a libertarian. Your sense is basically going to be that the government that governs least governs best. Let me say that again. The government that governs least is going to govern best. And in addition to that, it's not just about governing least, but there's also a strong sense of individual responsibility. A person will go as far as their abilities will take them, but if they can't go, then in fact it's not like there's really going to be a safety net underneath them when they fall. You'll notice there's actually a good group of y'all that are over here. Nick, Justin, Michael, Samuel, and Greg. 5 people that took the belief quiz are actually libertarians, so you're going to believe more in the ability of the individual and less in terms of government regulation. Now, just to give you a sense of this, when I talk about wallet issues, government should stay out of wallet issues. Well, there were a number of questions that I had given y'all dealing with economics. Maybe it dealt with things like establishing a minimum wage. Libertarians are typically not going to believe in that. Their argument would be you should earn, ultimately, you should be able to earn what it is that you deserve. And if we establish a minimum wage, then in fact people are going to be punished. They're going to be paid less than in fact what it is that they deserve. When it comes to wallet issues, taxes, the smaller the government, well, the less money they're going to need to do things. And the less money that they're going to need ultimately means that there should be lower taxes. When you get into moral issues, gay marriage, well, libertarians really aren't going to have a big say on that. That should be left to the individual. Prayer in schools, again, that's not something that government should have a role in. That should be left to the individual, and frankly, maybe it should be done outside of school time. For some of you, maybe the issue that might be the most enticing about libertarians is the idea that they do believe in the legalization of weed. And they're the only party that really officially does that. So kind of keep that thought in mind. Now, just to give you a couple of pieces on this. Nick, you'll notice up there, you actually, on this quiz, it looks like you answered 5 of the 7 that government should stay out of economic issues, and 4 out of 7 that said that government should actually stay out of moral issues. In other words, you're solidly libertarian regarding economic issues, but you're much more moderate in the context of moral issues. So kind of keep that thought in mind. You'll notice down there's Justin. Justin, on 5 of the 7, you said government should stay out of the wallet. On 5 of the 7, you said government should stay out of economics. You're basically just a good, solid libertarian. Michael and Samuel, y'all are actually the opposite of Nick. On 5 of the 7, you said government should stay out of morals. On 4 of the 7, you said government should stay out of the wallet. In other words, y'all are more moderate on economic issues, but you're a little bit more libertarian in terms of social ones. And then there's Greg. And remember what I said, the further you get away from the center, the more extreme your views are. Greg, it looks like on 5 of the 7, you agreed with Justin and Nick that government should stay out of wallet issues. However, on 6 of the 7, you said government should stay out of moral business. In other words, you're a really strong libertarian, minimal government regulation regarding moral issues. You're good, solid libertarian within the context of the wallet. Let me slide over, and kind of the sister to the libertarians would actually be the liberals. And there are typically the bulk of the class, and you'll notice Brenda, Luis, Nicole, Segaline, Victoria, Tuan, Baumlock, Chris, Nor, and Alondra, all of you are actually scoring in the liberal category. Now, libertarians and liberals, you'll notice over here, share a side, and they share the moral side. So both libertarians and liberals are going to agree that government should stay out of moral issues. However, when it comes to economic issues, liberals are going to believe in more government regulation. And maybe a good way of saying this is it's kind of like the Robin Hood idea. Liberals are typically going to believe in taking from the rich in order to give to the poor, or maybe trying to equalize things out, making sure that too few people don't have too much and too many people don't have enough, but in fact to make sure that more people have enough of what it is that they need. And you'll notice on this, whereas the libertarians are going to believe that government should stay out of the wallet, liberals are going to believe that government should regulate. Yeah, let's establish, for example, a minimum wage. Yeah, let's in fact establish so that the more money you earn, typically the more tax you should spend, ultimately so this can be redistributed to the folks that actually don't make as much. And of course, they wouldn't pay as much in terms of tax. Now, regarding moral issues, with the exception of weed, the fact is that liberals are typically going to believe that government should stay out of your business, just like the libertarians. So when you share a side, in fact, kind of makes sense, you're going to be more in agreement. Now, you'll notice down here, there's Luis, there's Brenda. Both of y'all scored 4 out of 7 on the wallet. And basically, y'all are really, really moderate regarding economic issues, but you do lean towards slight government intervention. Both of you, however, are a little bit different when it comes to economics. Brenda, on 5 of the 7, you said that government should stay out of morals, I should say. Luis, you on 6 of 7 said that government should stay out of morals. So you're exactly the same regarding economics, but Luis, you're a little bit more in terms of government staying out of people's business in terms of morals than Brenda. You'll notice Alondra over here, and remember what I'd said. The people that are going to be the furthest away from the center are actually going to have the strongest views. Alondra, on 7 out of the 7 questions, you said that government should regulate economic issues. In other words, you got a perfect score there, and you can't go any further in terms of government regulation than that. However, when it comes to the wallet, you only were 4 out of 7. In other words, you're very strong in terms of helping people that cannot help themselves maybe oftentimes, but you're a lot, in fact, more moderate regarding the moral issues. And Nicole, Segaline, Victoria, Tuan, Alondra, all of you scored on the same line. Matter of fact, Nick was more moderate on the moral issues as well. And then you'll notice our good old friend down here, Nor. There is Nor. On 7 out of the 7, Nor, you, in fact, said that government should stay out of moral issues. On 6 of the 7, you said, in fact, that government should stay out, or pardon me, should regulate economic issues. You are a very strong liberal. You're about as far away from the center as you can get. And in fact, there might even be another category that I'll give at the end regarding that. Now, I mentioned to you that liberals and libertarians share a side, which means that they kind of agree on one issue, but they're going to disagree more on the other one. Well, you'll also notice that sometimes categories are not going to share sides. And that's actually where we get up here to the liberals compared to the conservatives. Now, you'll notice on this, when you look at the conservatives, there was nobody in your class that actually scored as conservative. So let me make sure that I stress this definition. Conservatives are typically going to believe that government should stay out of economic issues, let the individual rise and fall on his or her own merits, and in fact, let them be free to create, be free to achieve, let them earn what they keep, let them keep what they earn, kind of a thing. Now, with that being said, conservatives are going to agree very strongly that the government should regulate moral issues. So, for example, when it comes to moral issues, school prayer, yes, that's a good solid thing for government to be involved in. When it comes to abortion, yes, that's a good solid thing for government to be involved in. When it comes to weed, oh yes, that's a good thing for government, in fact, to not allow. And when it comes to same-sex marriage, oh yes, marriage is between a man and a woman, period. And I know this is a little bit of a generalization, but these would be examples of government being able to regulate morals. Now with this, the economics, remember, I earn what I keep and I keep what I earn. If I earn more money, then I should keep more money. And if you need more money, then in fact you should work harder. We do need to open things up so that people can in fact create more. Give me a tax break if I open a business, this kind of a thing. And people shouldn't need help to buy their first home, for example. The government should not get involved in regulating the price of gas, but in fact it should be the market that regulates business. It shouldn't be the government. So you get the idea on this. And then the last category up here, since there's nobody in the conservative category, are actually what are known as the populists. Now you'll notice when we were talking before how libertarians and liberals shared a side, conservative and populists share a side as well. They're going to share the idea that government should regulate moral issues. So if you notice up here, conservatives and populists are going to agree half the time, and they're going to disagree. Agree on moral issues, disagree on economic ones. And you'll notice there's Jordy, there's Tolu, there's Yvonne, and there's Joanne, all in the populist category. Populists are going to believe that it's government's job to help the little man and the little woman in society. Populists are going to believe that government can make better decisions in all areas for people than in fact people can make for themselves. If you, the people, will give government the power to help, then in fact government will tell you what it is that you need to do, because let's face it, people don't always make the best decisions. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. So when I was mentioning to you about weed or same-sex marriage or prayer or abortion, populists are going to agree with Republicans completely on these things typically. However, when it comes to economic issues, populists are actually going to share that line with the liberals, and populists and liberals are going to agree that government should regulate economic issues, whether it deals with taxes, whether it deals with helping people buy their first home, whether it deals with any number of issues where in fact some people are going to be shut out. Populists are going to be looking for to benefit the little man or the little woman. Of course, the trick on this is that they're going to give the people are going to give the government a lot of power, and the government is going to exercise a lot of power, as populists anyway, over the people. Now you'll notice up here, Jordy, you're the one person that's a little bit different in that you basically scored one question away from the center. And what that means is that on 4 of the 7, you believe that government should regulate the bedroom. On 4 of the 7, you believe that government should regulate the wallet. In other words, if you changed one question, you could have ended up in any of the 4 categories. That probably means that you're either very moderate on the issues, really kind of depends, the issue determines what you think more than what you think determines the issue, or you're kind of still figuring it out, and that may very well be as well. You'll notice up here we've got some other folks, and there's Yvonne. Golly, Yvonne, on 6 of the 7, you said that government should regulate moral issues. On 5 of the 7, you said that government should regulate economics. Yvonne, you are a very solid populist, a strong populist, in fact. But even you pale in comparison to Joanne. Joanne, on 7 of the 7, you said that government should regulate moral issues. On 5 of the 7, you said government should regulate economics. In other words, Juan, and Ivan as well. It's kind of funny. Some people would argue that an extreme populist is actually what becomes known as a dictator. And people that score in the populist category typically have control issues. Maybe not Tolu, maybe not Jordy, because y'all are pretty close to the center. But Ivan and Juan, that's probably been said about y'all. Sorry, but if there's an exam question that asks who is most likely to be the class dictator, it's going to be Juan. Just to kind of recap on these, and going back down to the bottom again, you'll notice libertarians. The key thing for the exam is to make sure that you're comfortable with the relationship between wallet and bedroom, economic and moral issues, and government regulation. Libertarians are going to believe that government should stay out of economic issues, government should stay out of moral issues, and the individual should rise or fall on his or her own merits. You'll notice Greg is pretty far away, about the equivalent of Ivan, just in the libertarian direction. An extreme libertarian becomes known as an anarchist, and an anarchist believes in the absence of government. Libertarians are going to believe in limited government. An anarchist is going to believe in the absence of government. And if you think that's crazy, think about the international system. We do not have a world government in the world, so at some level, we're kind of in a state of anarchy. You'll notice over here with the the liberals one more time. The liberals are going to believe that government should regulate economic issues, however, stay out of the bedroom, stay out of moral issues. And a strong liberal, maybe an extreme liberal, becomes something that's known as a communist. And nor you're dangerously, dangerously close. You may have the most extreme views in the class. I say that as a compliment, not as anything else. So kind of keep that thought in mind. Nor may be a communist for exam purposes. And then you'll notice up here with the conservatives are going to believe that government should stay out of the wallet, however, regulate moral issues. And, you know, I've got this U drawn up here, and let me hit this really, really quick. This U kind of represents your life. And if you'll notice in the upper left up there, that's kind of when you're young. If you notice in the center there, as it dips down, you get to middle age. And then you notice as it goes back up on the top right side of the U, you become old. And basically what the U says is, the U says that when typically people are young, they are going to be more liberal than they will be in just about any other point of their life. Now, let me stress, I'm not saying that everybody that's young is liberal, but what I'm saying is, I mean, think about it. You know, you want to regulate the economic issues, you want to stay out of the moral issues. Young people really don't have a lot that needs protected. They're still in the process of building themselves. And it also kind of makes sense that young people are going to experiment a little bit more. They're typically going to be a little bit more liberal. You'll notice as you dip down, you get into this conservative phase when you get to middle age. And think about it. If conservatives typically are going to be interested in conserving what exists, whether it be morality, whether it be, for that matter, economics, as you get to middle age, maybe you're going to be married, maybe you're going to have kids, maybe you're going to have a mortgage, maybe you're going to have that really good job. In other words, you have more things now because you're much more established. And the thought is that you're going to want more protection from government for the things that you have when you get to middle age. Now, a funny thing happens. As you get older and older, you go back up again and you become more liberal. Think about it. The kids are grown. The house is paid for. You're retired. You don't have that job. I mean, when you really put it into context, people as they get older need more from the government. Just like when people are younger, they need more from the government. However, when people are middle-aged, they typically are more independent on their own. And if you think that this is crazy, young people want legalized drugs. I mean, let's be honest, that's something that's fairly typical these days. Old people, on the other hand, want their drugs paid for. In other words, young and old do kind of have some interesting views that overlap. I'll leave you with this. I'll go ahead and post this. I'll scan the results of this belief quiz in, but make sure you're comfortable with the difference between government regulation, bedroom, and wallet for these four categories: liberal, libertarian, conservative, and populist.